Welcome to Story Time with Miss Williams.
Today we'll be reading the following stories about the life of Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, and Michelle Obama. Harriet Tubman. Minty was a little girl who was born into slavery in Maryland. She was owned by white masters and forced to work for them from dawn to dusk. At night, while her family slept, she wished to be free. But freedom was a faraway dream for Minty and many other African Americans living in the South. Slave owners were allowed to sell people as they were property. And one day, Minty's owners sold three of her sisters. Minty and her parents wondered if they would ever see them again. Every other day, Minty was beaten by her masters, but she was always ready to stand up for herself and others. One morning, while protecting a slave who was trying to escape from his overseer, she was hit on the head. For Minty, that blow was a sign that marked her destiny. She was now more determined than ever to take her people to the northern states where slavery no longer existed. So one night she said goodbye to her family and started a long journey north to Philadelphia, guided by the North Star. Minty changed her name to Harriet so she couldn't be traced. When Minty finally reached Philadelphia, she joined the Underground Railroad, a secret network of safe houses and people who were against slavery. They helped enslaved men and women reach safety in the free states and Canada. Thanks to them, Harriet soon traveled to the South again. She went back for her brothers and sisters and as many slaves as needed her help. For 11 years, Harriet repeated the same trip again and again, guiding hundreds of people to the safety of the northern states. She called them her passengers, and she never lost a single one. After years of problems between the northern and southern states, a civil war broke out. Harriet signed up to help as a cook, but she soon became a nurse and even a spy, too. On a mission to rescue 700 slaves, Harriet led three steamboats along rivers full of explosives. She became a hero, and everyone called her Moses after the Bible story. Eventually, the war came to an end, and there was a great celebration. Slavery was finally over, and millions of people were free, and for the first time in their lives. But Harriet's work was not finished. Unequal rules for African Americans carried on long after slavery was over. She took to the stage to demand her rights. Because little Harriet knew that you have to use all of your strength to stand up for yourself so that you can stand up to others too. Rosa Parks. Rosa grew up near Montgomery, Alabama, with her mother, brother, and grandparents. She was very little and very brave, and she always tried to do what was right. When she was young, Rosa's grandparents told her stories about slavery, when black people weren't free to live like other people. Slavery was over, but times were still hard for Rosa and her family. Black people were treated very badly and told they were not equal to white people. Every day, Rosa watched the school bus go by taking white children to their big school. It didn't stop for her. She had to walk a long way to the one-room school that was just for black children. Rosa knew this wasn't right. She knew she was a regular person just as good as anyone else. Lots of times she had to make sure other people knew it too. When Rosa grew up and got a job in the city, she couldn't use the same doors, elevators, bathrooms, or water fountains as white people. She could ride the bus, but she had to sit in the back. Her life was full of rules that she knew weren't right. Rosa fell in love with a man named Raymond, who was trying to change the rules to be more fair and equal. Soon, Rosa started working too, trying to get more rights for black people and help for those who were treated badly. She worked day after day, even when it seemed like nothing would ever change. On her way home from the city one day, a bus driver told Rosa to stand up so a white person could take her seat. She was sick of rules that she knew were wrong. She thought enough and said no. Rosa was taken to jail. She wasn't scared because she knew that what she was fighting was right. When Rosa came home that night, she talked with her friends and family about what to do. She decided to keep fighting no matter how hard it would be. Black people all over the city heard what had happened to Rosa. They thought, enough. Rosa inspired them to stop riding the buses until the rules changed. So they walked to school and to work and to the store in all kinds of weather. Rosa traveled the country from New York to San Francisco to convince other people to join the fight. Finally, after 1 year, the Supreme Court decided that treating black people differently from white people on buses was wrong. The rules were going to change. It was no longer safe for Rosa to live in Alabama. She moved to Detroit and fought for fair schools, jobs, and houses for black people. She fought for voting rights, women's rights, and the rights of people in prison. When Rosa was an older woman, she was given awards and told she was a hero, but she knew who she was, a regular person, just as good as anyone else, and she had work to do. Rosa Parks was an American activist and one of the most important figures in the civil rights movement. The grandchild of former slaves, she grew up with her mother, brother, and grandparents on a small farm outside of Montgomery, Alabama, where she faced mean and unfair treatment because of her skin color. She regularly resisted with bravery and dignity. It wasn't until she met her husband, Raymond Parks, that she learned about activism. At 30, she became a leader in the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, in Montgomery and began working to end inequality. When she was 42, Rosa was taken from a bus and jailed because she refused to give her seat to a white person. Her arrest brought the black people of Montgomery together to demand change, and she helped lead them in a year-long boycott of the buses. Rosa's actions and hard work helped establish the civil rights movement. They also cost her family their jobs and safety. They moved north to Detroit, where Rosa was dismayed to find that great inequality persisted. She remained an activist for the rest of her life, helping many people and inspiring countless others with her bravery, dignity, and determination in the ongoing fight for human equality. Michelle Obama. On the upper floor of a humble house on the south side of Chicago, a little girl called Michelle was growing up. Every night she put her stuffed friends to bed, telling them the same thing her parents told her: study hard and be great. Her school was down the street, but she dreamt of studying at the best universities, something her parents never had the chance to do. For Michelle, education was about becoming the best person she could be, someone like her dad. When she got older, Michelle took a long trip every day to attend a high school for high achievers on the other side of the city. There all the students looked different, but were all very much alike. They shared a passion for learning. Princeton, one of the most prestigious colleges in the world, was her next goal, but one of her teachers didn't think she would be good enough. Far from being discouraged, Michelle was determined to prove her wrong. Michelle did not just get accepted, she became one of their finest graduates. She even found time to run a care center for minority students like her. She was always there to give good advice and a friendly hug. From Princeton, she went to Harvard, and from there, right into a fancy office in Chicago. Michelle was now a very busy lawyer. Still, after a long day at work, she loved to join her parents for dinner. One day, Barack Hussein Obama, a promising law student, came into her office. Michelle became his mentor, and they soon realized they shared a love for family and education and a strong desire to help those less fortunate. The day Michelle's father died was one of the saddest ever. His life and love for others inspired Michelle to quit her job and join Public Allies, a non-profit organization that helps young students become leaders. When Barack decided to run for president of the United States, Michelle stood next to him. She was his teammate, his friend, his wife, and the mother of his 2 daughters. For them, it was the whole Obama family running. Barack became the first African American president of the United States, and Michelle a first lady like no other. The presidential White House, built by enslaved black people 200 years before, was now a black family's home. Growing fruits and vegetables on the lawn, Michelle realized she had found her #1 cause, food and fitness. It was not just her daughter's menu she wanted to look after, but the health of young people all over the country. She encouraged schools, parents, and children to play sports and eat nourishing foods at home. Michelle traveled the world inspiring governments to build a brighter future for their countries by improving girls' education. And whatever the future brings for little Michelle, she will keep touching people's hearts and souls, because she knows that once you have made your dreams come true, it's your job to help others do the same.
Thanks for watching. See you next time for story time.